guys, I'm Kieran Kuskopf, and today we're going to have a look at some eighth note bass grooves, which sounds something like this. If you have a copy of Grooveworks, all the eighth note bass grooves are in the very first section. But if you don't, that's okay. I'll see if I can put up a link to the page that these grooves are coming from. But let's get started. Let's hit the first groove, the basic rock groove. So the full groove should sound like this. If you have any trouble with that groove, I would suggest breaking it down like this. Just play the hi-hat with the bass. And if you want something to say to help you, I would say hat and bass together, then hi-hat on its own. Hat and bass together, then hi-hat on its own. And keep that going. It should sound something like this. Once you got that down, take out the bass and add in the snare, but do exactly the same thing. So you're going to go together, hat, together, hat. Super simple. And once you got all that together, try to put it all back into one piece, and so it sounds like the basic rock groove again. Alright, let's have a look at the second groove on that page. And if you can read what's under that groove, you can see like a 1 and a plus. So that is how you would count this particular groove. You would count it as 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So the plus is like a short way of saying and. So this groove should sound something like this. If you're having any trouble with that groove, I would break it down to just the first 3 notes. So just that bass, bass, and snare. Try it nice and slowly, see if you can string a couple together. It should sound something like this. And once you got that, see if you can string it back together just like you did with the first one. Alright, moving on. Third groove down. This one, we've got the bass drum on every beat. It should sound something like this. If you're struggling with this one, what I would probably do, generally I find my students will struggle with the snare and bass and hi-hat all together. So if you want a way to work on this one, I would break it down to just that single note and keep repeating it, so all 3 all together. Once you got that, just like all the other ones, string it together, see if you can make it sound nice, and let's keep moving on. So the second last one on this page. This one tricks up a lot of people, so now we've got a bass drum coming after the snare, which can feel a little bit weird, so probably take it slow. But if you have trouble with this one, I would start at the snare just as an exercise and try play snare, bass, bass, all with the hi-hat obviously. So it should sound something like this. Once you got that down, string it together, see what it sounds like, see if you can play it for a long time. This one in particular, you should try to get at least like 16 bars in a row before you kind of move on. I find that a lot of people, if you just stop at like 1 or 2 bars, you're never going to get further. So make sure you play a long time in a row just to get the feel for it. Let's move on to the very last groove. Now this one is definitely the hardest on the page, with the bass drum only on the offbeat. It feels pretty difficult, mainly because you don't have the bass drum on the beat, and that's where it feels natural to play. But it should sound something like this. And if you're having trouble with that one, easiest way to break it down, I find, is just say the words hat, bass, snare, bass. See if you can get just up to that point, just the second bass in the groove. And once you got that down, see if you can play it through twice, like hat, bass, snare, bass, hat, bass, snare, bass. If you can get all that, then hopefully you'll be able to start stringing a couple bars together. And just make sure that you get the hi-hat on every note. This one, once again, definitely try to play at least 16 bars in a row, and I would definitely try to play around with the tempos. It can sound really funky if you can nail this one. But let's leave that there, and let's see how you can take these grooves a little bit further. Alright, so now if you want to string some together, an easy way to do this would be just to take, like, for example, the first half of the first bar and the second half of the second groove and play them together inside one bar. And if you get the hang of that, you can try different combinations of all of those 5 grooves. And maybe even start to muck around, start to put some fills in, start to, I don't know, muck around with tempos, whatever you feel like doing. You can even try things like move your right hand from just the hi-hat to the ride cymbal or to the floor tom, whatever you feel like. But have a go. It might sound something like this. We'll leave that there for today. I will make sure that I'll leave a link to this page so you can have a go yourself. Otherwise, have fun and stay tuned for some new grooves.